More and more AV and broadcast hardware is now supported by our extensive lineup of control panels, over 500 different devices actually, and each one is developed, tested and approved by our in-house development team to ensure that you get top-notch quality coming your way on your integrations. And usually I am sitting in this seat demonstrating deep control of a Sony AM7 camera, an Epiphone Pearl 2 or a direct out Project D MP audio processor, but today we are doing something different. We are controlling NetGear switches from SKAARHOJ hardware. And why would you do that? Well, usually these switches, they have a software UI, but we can offer you a hardware panel and a hardware panel that will control multiple switches at one time. So we can break out essential controls like the ability to assign link aggregation groups to ports, or turning on and off PoE power on a port, for instance, as we shall see with the camera in a moment, or just dropping or enabling the link on the port. So basic things, and it may not warrant having a full rack unit, but again, if you have a server room, you have these switches, it's pretty neat to have a one rack unit panel sitting there being able to actually do these things on the switches in the rack. Or you can also have the same integration mapped onto any other controller from SKAARHOJ, because that's another thing. This is not just about the Rackfly Uno, but it's about any SKAARHOJ panel that will allow you to map these features down onto buttons that are in access in some way. You can hide them on a layer in a menu, wherever you want, because we're all about customizing your experience in control. This is the web UI of the Rackfly Uno. And you can see I'm connected to the NetGear 48 port switch, the 10 port switch, also the Sony AM7 and the Epiphone Pearl 2, just as examples, so we can see when we drop the connection to these units. They are not being controlled by the control panel today. I've not mapped any features onto buttons. I could do that if I wanted, because I am connected to them, but the focus is on the NetGear switches. Okay, so these are AV line NetGear switches. This is M4250 models. And there is also an M4350 coming up pretty soon from NetGear. We have not been able to test this integration, but we highly anticipate that it will work. Those switches are even higher end switches for AV and broadcast usage. So look out for those. They are probably very exciting products. But those two switches are connected to today, and you'll see that we have a device selector here on the Rackfly Uno. If I select device number 1, I am on the 48 port switch, and I also have the web UI of that switch here, so we can use that in a moment. But let's just get to it. There's a little menu over here, and on that menu I can cycle through the features that are mapped down on to these buttons, which is for every port. So this is port 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. I have a pager here, so now this is port 13, 14, 15, etc. Going all the way up to the 48 ports that this switch is featuring. We are on port 1, 3, and 5 on these products. So if we go to right now PoE, and the AM7 is on port number 7. So if I have PoE on right now, you see that in the displays. Once again, SKAARHOJ panels, they have these wonderful displays that will show you typically the status of the feature you have mapped onto that button, like the PoE is on. And if I press and hold, it's turned off. And you see the camera just loses power immediately right there. This is a hold function. So the little arrow you see in it means that you need to hold the button for it to actually activate. As it was powered off, you'll see that it dropped connection, so it's disconnected here. And now we powered it on again. You see LED is coming up. The camera is gonna just reinitialize and do some dancing for us, etc. And while it does that, I want to go over to port link, because on port link it is not the idea is that you just drop the data connection here. So if I press and hold on port 5, we should see that the connection to the Epiphone Pearl is actually lost. And in a moment that will appear right here in the UI. So you see right there the Epiphone Pearl has its link cut. If I turn on the link again, in a moment we'll see the Epiphone Pearl is reconnecting right here in the UI. So that is basic control on the ports on the NetGear switch. Very useful if that's what you need. I can especially see the usage of being able to power off PoE devices from a central location this easily. So that's very useful. There's a cool feature inside of these switches called link aggregation groups. And that is a way to group together ports to achieve higher bandwidth and a number of other benefits that you can have. And those groups that are available are associated, or they are created inside the software of the switch. So we have a group called server, storage rate, Dante, primary, and those are actually already assigned to some of the ports. You see it here in the UI. You see the server group is assigned to port number 2 and 4. And I think maybe if I move forward here, we see on port 13, we have primary Dante. And then I am not sure if we have any more groups listed here, but the server is there. Now, if I press this on the sides, these are 4-way buttons. That's the cool technology we have made. That means you can actually, on a button, press the sides and it will increase or decrease a value. So you can use them like encoder knobs. That's a very, very practical feature. So, okay, it basically means that if I want to assign this differently, I would just go through the options available to me, and then I can approve by clicking, and I can do that same thing on this one. And I don't want to do it on port 5 because then I'm, again, well, we can see that happening, but it will drop the connection for the Epiphan Pearl. So if I change this on port 5 in a moment, we'll see Epiphan Pearl is losing connection because now it's grouped together with these 2 other ports, and that has a consequence for its connection to the panel here. So there we go, it's now dropped. But I can assign these network aggregation groups from the panel as well. Very, very important feature. So basically, select your device. If you have so many devices that you need a pager, you have a pager right here. Select any port, you have a pager for the ports. Select the link aggregation groups, or port link, or PoE. You can hold to reboot if you need to reboot the switch, and you can see it's connected. That's the basics. If you are new to this channel, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any updates on control integrations with your favorite broadcast equipment. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and subscribe to our newsletter. That's all great ways to stay in the loop with SKAARHOJ. And if you have any questions that need a personal touch, our sales and support team is already here to help you. We love to hear from our awesome customers.